For the next, I will be the Director of Curriculum Development and Associate Counsel for CALI. Moving forward, I still will be Deb Quentel. So thank you for coming to the summation presentation of my entire career at CALI. I hope you have all logged in. This will be short. It's very hard to squeeze 27 years into a single day. My memories abound. So we're just here to have fun, get some pencils, have some snacks, and ask some questions. I'm also showing you how Lesson Live works. You may have noticed, I'm not a right-handed mouse person, so excuse me while I dance around the screen. You may have noticed that over in the upper left-hand corner, of the screen is a list of numerically numbered students. Those are all of you who have logged in. So you could run this in class just as we're doing here, and you're going to see the answers come in. You can also assign your students a lesson to do through Lesson Live over a weekend, and then hang out with a bowl of popcorn on Saturday night and watch the answers spill in.
Sunday, early Monday morning.
Well, no, man, that's how I spend my Saturdays, and I don't know how I'm going to fill them when I retire, but we'll debate that later. So the first thing I have done behind the scenes here is I took an existing CALI lesson. I actually wrote this. I'm super proud of it. But you could take an existing CALI lesson and you make what's called a lesson link, and then you share the lesson link with your students. So what I did was I wrote a lesson, which is just like taking one. And then I shared this link with all of you. Then I made a lesson link. And then I shared this link with you of the 10892, just as I would share it with your students. All right, we all here so far? All right. Let's move on to our disclaimers. Always exciting in the law world. Here are our instructions that come as a default in the CALI author. We're going to skip them, but your students might want to read them. Notice the last asterisk one. Your professor might be able to see the scores. That's me today. All right. So on the far left, these are the exciting topics we're going to cover. I'm just starting, my life started with CALI and everyone, so I'm just starting you there too in the same place. The early years really were early. So we're going to get started and let's see what happens. All right, these are our legal disclaimers. Usually you might put introduction material here, but seeing as many of us are attorneys in the room, I felt legal disclaimers more satisfied my attitude toward the presentation. I will point out in specifics, item number 4, prizes are awarded on my whim. I use a capricious, arbitrary standard of review, so you can debate that with me. This will be interactive. I took out the part where based on your answer, you had to get up and squawk like a chicken or things like that. But feel free to really express yourself in any way that you feel the content deserves. I don't want to hinder anyone. 2 is important here as a disclosure sort of thing, actually. Your score will not become part of your permanent record that they told you about in grade school. Mine is still following me around. I should have never tripped Roger. I apologize for that then, and I still do now. But this session is recorded. And it's very possible that on the recording, if someone's watching on their little tiny monitor, that they will zoom in at some point and actually see your name associated with a score. So if you fear a judicial nomination and how this will hinder, please lend your laptop and name to someone else. All right. And my decision is final. I will not debate or argue it. That lawyer thing of debating is just for the birds. All right. Ready? Any questions so far? And thank you, students 16 and 17, whoever you may be, for joining us. You can see how this would be fun, huh? If at any time you start going ahead because I'm going too slow and I'm meandering, or you just want to see what's in the future, you can move ahead in the lesson. But if you want to come back to where I am, you click that lesson, well, it says lesson live. That's a typo. It should have said lesson link up in the top, and you will come back to where I am, okay? So this was how your students might be moving ahead or falling behind, and they can catch up with you. All right, let's get to some exciting content. This represents a typical day at CALI headquarters. And what I ask you to do is speculate on what this picture depicts. Then compare your answer with mine. So if you would please write your answer in the box below. These answers are all going to be collected into the database, which we'll look at. So I would ask you to not use your George Carlin words, because we will all see them, probably associated with your name. Yes, question in the way back. Wait, where's it? Dan, Mike, so we can hear it.
I just wanted to find out where the link was, where you're starting from.
Oh, sure. Do you see this below the dinosaur that's racing madly through the hallway in a dangerous fashion? You see that URL?
Okay, it's
CALI. So
10892.
you go to CALI?
Okay.
Sorry, I keep forgetting I've talked to the mic. You need to go to cali.org, the website. And then log in at that website. Is that making sense to log in? Okay, and then go to /courses plural. Ranella, freeze for a second if you don't mind. The woman right to your right is trying to log into the site. Okay, we're gonna move ahead, and you can click the button and join up. So write your essay answer in here. And we're going to be moving on. You can continue to write your essay answer to describe what's going on. I'm just going to write something right here so that I can then check my answer. And the answer here, it's not really a typical day, but this is John. He was a dinosaur for one conference. He did not tell us he had purchased a dinosaur costume, and he appeared at my doorway standing as a dinosaur. IIT, my parent organization, has a fabulous mental health insurance program, and so I'm over it now. But it was fun being chased around the hallway, and the law students greatly enjoyed it too. So we're going to see your responses later on. So now we're going to go here to next. That's pretty much, all right. So here, we see some of you have already moved ahead and are answering questions. Look at this. It's not telling us which students though, but we can see what is going on here in terms of the answers. So I can also reveal your answers, and I can see how many of you got it right. So you would know which student you are, and that you would know whether you got this question right or wrong. And if it was an actual substantive question, you could say to yourself, oh, great, I'm in the top 80% of the class who got this right, or I'm in the bottom 25% of the class that got this wrong, and you sort of have a sense of where your knowledge is compared to your classmates. All right. So we're just going to move on here.
Could be anonymized.
I could take, I'm going to take everyone's names off later on. I could, I know. If I click this button here that John is teasing me and tempting me to do right down here, everyone's name would appear. And the correct answer, of course, is that, where is the answer? Oh, I see. Yeah, it's D. We had about 100. I got lost in the math. And this was our body of lessons. All right. So let us move on. All right, we formed the CALI editorial board. How many of you are members of the CALI editorial board here? Yeah. Excellent, thank you. Thank you very much for being part of it. So this asks why we formed the CALI editorial board. So I dreamed of working for NASA. I favor acronyms as one choice, very tempting. I hate making cold calls. Think back if I've ever called any of you. And the final choice, to build a community of experts. So I'm going to reveal, we got 13 of 21 people who have responded so far. We'll let a few more come in. Although even when I reveal, we really don't know what these students picked. Now, this is a hard question, as we're seeing, because you have to pick all the correct answers. Yeah, I know. Remember, decisions are mine. They're final, based on my whim. All right? And I'm not telling you where I'm staying tonight, what hotel. I have moved locations. Okay, so the correct answer, I believe, is all of these. Oh, nope, I didn't even know that. No, oh, that's right. I truly did want to be an astronaut as a child. Spent a lot of time sitting with tinfoil on my head in a cardboard box. I can clear my answer here. Oh, I cleared all of you, I guess. I don't know. I can grade my answer. I can say I give up, and it shows us what the right answer is, complete with the feedback. So we formed the CEB to create a community of experts, to create a community of people who would have expertise in how the interactive software worked, who would have advanced knowledge of lessons coming through the pipeline to share with their students, and to be part of the teaching and learning that goes on with CALI. All right, so we will move on. And I know I stand sideways when I'm, when I'm working the mouse, because it helps. Hold on, I lost it. Does anyone see it? I found it. Okay, so what gets peer reviewed? Now, we can use our knowledge from the previous question, because this question type is the same. So you might want to think about how many of these boxes should be checked. It could be 1, 2, or 3. We're doing a little better as a group right here.
I do point out that the reviewers do get cash money.
That's right. They get more than things I've stolen from our vendors or during the snack. They get actual cash money. And the reviews are anonymous. Thank you for reminding me, John. Reviews are anonymous. And the reason is I've always feared that elevator conversation at AALL or AALS where the elevator is stuck and you're in the elevator with the person that reviewed your lesson. The first 5 minutes are fun. You're having a shared bonding moment of being stuck in an elevator. And then after that, it gets grisly. So I'd rather that reviews be anonymous. And that also allows lessons that are written by senior faculty to be reviewed by younger faculty members. And there is not the sense that, oh, well, I'm a senior faculty member, I know everything, and this younger person does not. Because you don't know if it's a true peer or if it's a younger faculty member. All right. So everything gets reviewed. And I should also point out, well, that comes next. Never mind. I was about to give away the answer. All right.
16 is asleep.
Well, yeah, maybe they ran off. This is pressure. So why does CALI include peer review? So this requires you to answer one of these 3 choices for each question. We do want material of the highest quality. There, I gave you an answer. But please continue on your own because as you notice, questions will reveal as you go along.
This question depends on if it's staff or not.
Yeah. Right. CALI staff doesn't want to read the material itself. So, right. And of course, the answer, so I'm going to disagree with that because we read absolutely everything. I'm currently reading, I think I'm on the 4th time through reading it, a bankruptcy case book. I would not trust myself to file a bankruptcy accurately because I skip around in the book, but we read absolutely everything that comes in. Lessons, the process is a lesson comes in, we read the lesson, we send it back to the author for revisions. The lesson comes back to CALI staff. We send it out to the editorial board for review and comments. It goes back to the author. The author revises it. The lesson comes back to CALI and we read it again. And then we send it to a second person on the CALI staff or one of our outside reviewers to read yet again. All right. So let's move on. The fellowships. Did I hear theme music there? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So in the click. All right. So the fellowships bring together 4 to 6 faculty members with substantial teaching experience in the subject area. Picture me with 5 torts professors sitting in a restaurant. They have 100 years of teaching experience. Good times. What year was CALI's first fellowship? And thank you very much for everyone who's clicking in so fast.
Yeah, I'll point out we came up with fellowship before the movie came out.
That's true. Tolkien may have used the word in his book, but a fellowship suggests a collection of people working toward a common goal. And it's just a cool word to say. Team sounds too like you're in a dugout or you wear uniforms. So fellowship just seemed to strike us. All right. So the first one actually was in 1999. And let's move on and find out what that was. All right. What subject did we first focus on? Anyone know what city the first fellowship met in? It's not in here. I did do some editing. Very close. Chicago's a good choice because we've had a lot of conferences there. Nope, not Boston. Nope, I'll give you a clue. The building was so new when we got there the day before, the construction crew was still putting in those final wires and walls and things. It was in Eugene, Oregon. All right, let's see where we are here. It was crim law. Yep. All right. So
Beta testing their brand new CALI author software too.
what's that? Oh yeah, they were. Right. It was like literally hours old. Yeah, yeah. So this question, if you got it wrong, you notice that you're not able to click the next button or the continue button. You're stuck here. So you have to eventually pick criminal law C to move forward. I'm just showing you here how you can make students get the answer correct to move on. Or I could have branched you and taken you down a whole path of, no, it's not aviation law. Who did do the aviation law lessons? When were they done? A whole bunch of things. So instead of talking about aviation law and criminal law, imagine if we were talking about actual legal concepts. And it's a concept that students get wrong often. Like students have trouble understanding what a title of property is because their experience with a title is their car title. So they think it's one shiny piece of paper that comes from the Department of Transportation in their state. And property title is a little more complicated. So you might want to run them through a path of what's the difference between car titles and property titles. All right, we are moving on. All right, fellowships. We talked about what is a fellowship. It's a group of usually 5 or 6 people. We also have individuals working alone. The Legal Research Community Authoring Project is individual law librarians creating lessons. They have now written a primary and secondary lesson in every state except for, I think, 3 still have to be done. So that would be individuals. And then we have these authoring pods where a couple people get together and it's not committee work, but they say, hey, I'll write some lessons and you can review my lessons and I'll review your lessons. And it's a little bit of feedback. So for this question, for each layer of the podship, that's a new thing that Sarah will be working on, the podships. For the fellowships, you have to decide whether each subject area was part of a fellowship or not a fellowship. So there are a lot of questions here because we have done a lot of fellowships. So let's see how we're doing here. And because we can take the names, apply the names to each of the students, this data is being saved and I can go back to my office and look and see who responded and who did not respond at all. And we'll go through the analytics for this lesson when we finish through. You also notice we got this, you have this cool spinning wheel up at the top, which tells you how many you've gotten right and wrong. All right. So I should have made this easier for myself. But all of these actually were written by fellowships. So I'm going to give up here. Yeah, we've had 12 official fellowships. We may have had more, but I could only remember 12. So we are moving on. Are there any questions so far about the underlying or my exciting 27 years with CALI? No? Okay. All right. Can you name other subject areas that were written where more than one author? So you know that legal research kind of is off the table. And here you have to put in a word. And I'm looking for specific words, and you're going to get a match as to whether or not you hit the word right. Spelling does count. Let's see how you're all doing. Of course, as soon as I show this, I show you my choices. These were the words that were in there. Hopefully I spelled them right. And we're going to move on. Why?
The most recent fellowship, and I didn't get it right.
Law school success?
Yeah.
They were on the previous page. They were one of the 12 formal fellowships. And John, I adore you as a boss, but if I may point you to the instructions at the beginning of this question, where it said name one other. And as you note, I used the bold feature for other. I could have also put it in italics, or I could have underlined it. Yeah.
This is why I delegate.
Yeah, right. And you can have your students work together in a pair. And then Jessica, perhaps sitting next to John, would have helped him in his analysis of this if they were working as a pair. So you can pair the students up in the class also. Although you can only have one student's grade being entered in, unless they come up with an answer together and they both enter the answer. All right, so I am moving on. If I can find my cursor. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to E-Langdell casebooks. Anyone in here using an E-Langdell casebook? Thank you. What are you using? Legal Research. Excellent, by Bo Stinkin and Tina Brooks. Yeah, that's they're in the process of revising it actually for fall. That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about our casebooks. So this is just a text to screen. I rounded up for a decade ago. I think we really started. John, how long ago were E-Langdell casebooks in the works? 15 years?
2006 was the CALI presentation where I started talking. So
Yeah, and that was my problem. We're in 2024 and 2006, and I was having trouble distancing those.
we didn't publish any books for a while.
No, we didn't. We didn't. It takes a while to move a book through. And people often ask, well, if I put in a book proposal, do I have to have it done that semester? And we're like, thank you, no. Because we know books take a long time. So we put you on a schedule that's mutually agreed upon, and you work on that, and we provide any support that we can during that drafting phase. And just like lessons, the books are peer reviewed. Usually people only review one chapter of a book while they have the opportunity to see the entire book. So I will send the entire book to someone, but I'll only ask them to review a chapter. The reason I send the whole book is because when you look at one chapter, you want to know whether something is covered elsewhere or what else is covered. And so that way you can peek ahead. All right. So in this now, let's remember that we had a question that looked sort of like this before, where you had to check multiple boxes. So that's a hint. This might be challenging. Which subjects as listed below do we have a casebook in? I'll give you a hint. Steve Johnson, who wrote a wetlands book, is sitting in the back corner there. He actually wrote a course source book, which is super cool because it's got links out to EPA websites. It's got links out to court materials, interviews with people. It's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to just grade my answer here because all of these, I'll make it pretty in a second here. I give up. All of these, we have casebooks in all of these. We actually, anyone here teach tax law? Because we have 3 tax law books, and they're written by 2 professors who have both decided to retire when they heard I was retiring. So, that's my shy look. Doesn't really buy, doesn't know. So if anyone knows anyone who does tax law, we're looking for people to take over those books. You are compensated. We don't do a royalty stream because we purchased the book, and that way we can release it with a Creative Commons license. Another professor can come along, edit the materials, move them around, because who teaches a book from chapter 1 to 18 in sequence? Very few people. All right. So if anyone has a tax professor they think would be interested in working with us, they should talk to Sarah Smith. All right, let's move on. All right, so we're going to go over here to our lawbooks.cali.org site. Are we still seeing this, Dan? Yeah. Cool. This is our full catalog. Thank you, catalog, not a calendar. A full catalog of all of our books. I'm going to jump down here to page 2. Yes, we have so many. We now have a page 2. And I am going to go, in honor of being at the University of Washington Law School, I'm going to go to Professor Zahra Syed's book. She's moving to Santa Clara, I think at the end of the month or something. And this is what the book looks like on the website. And the reason I'm moving here is we now use something, an open access questioning type software called h5p.org. And they have about 25 questions in h5p.org, and it's a plugin into WordPress, which the book sits on. I must have said that right because Elmer didn't giggle. Okay, so the H5P questions sit right in the middle of the book. And I think this is the most amazing thing, particularly for first-year students and first-year books. because they read a case in tort law and they're immediately asked some questions and they're immediately given some feedback. So I'm going to show you what this looks like here. We've got a table of contents over here. And this book also exists in print format, as an ebook, and as a PDF file. A lot of our books are also in Word files, but I don't think this one converted to Word. I may be mistaken. Obviously, interactive questions do not exist in the PDF or the print version, but those two versions have a link that jumps you not just to the book, but to the pinpoint question in that part of the book. So if the student is reading a paper book and they type in a URL, then they can go immediately to the question and see the question. So I'm just going to sort of cheat here. Sarah Smith is our expert on helping you write H5P questions. She works with you, and I'm just going to, they're called, not check you. This will get me to some of the questions. All right, so these are all the places where they appear. So I'm just going to pick a place here. So we're going to go to the section of the book on, this is chapter 10. And we're going to scroll down here. Look away if you get queasy. And you see it has traditional notes, as you would in any common case book, an ordinary case book put out by someone that's not us. It has footnotes, and then you can go back into the text. And I'm still scrolling as soon as I find my cursor. Here we go. Here we go. And here we are with a question. They're set out in bold. Zara used a variety of formats. She has some essay questions that happen as like a flip card sort of thing. She has some fill in the blank where you have to put in a specific word. They're true, false, they're multiple choice. So assuming we had actually read this case or you remember this case, I'm just going to randomly make a pick here. And then I check it. And I actually got this right. And I am rewarded with a green bar and a gold star that pops on my screen. This data is collected in the background. And CALI moving forward will be figuring out how to collect that data and associate it with your student and your class. Right now, it's just a jumble of interesting information based on everyone using this book. What do you think of H5P from what you've seen? I'm seeing some thumbs up. Thank you. Universal sign for something. Good. Here's it. This way, it looks like a multiple choice, but it's a true false. And I'm wrong here, so I do not get my star, but I can retry it. And my star appears. So it just gives me as a student an opportunity to see, am I understanding what I'm reading? Because I think that's the hardest thing for 1L students to be in control of, understanding whether they're understanding. So imagine this is sort of like your Halloween. Chapter 10 is around Halloween in the book, and you're still freaking out. And so this would be a way to check what's going on here. I think it's pretty cool. I'm just in love with it. All right. Whoops. Where am I? Here we go. All right. So we looked at her book. And now we come to another thing, which is this was the goofiest picture I could find of John. So these are just some stats. I talk a lot about baseball with my nephews. So seasons played, 27. That's pretty long for a career. I'm feeling it in the elbow and the shoulder. Slid in a few times too late on bases. Law schools visited. I honestly cannot remember how many law schools I have visited. But I think it's around 35 or 40. I often play the game. Could I travel around the US hanging out at law libraries as a vacation? So if you see me, in the next year or so, throw me a pair of CALI earplugs and point me to the comfy chairs because I plan to make that trip. LBIs. I'm pretty proud of that one. Lessons batted in. Lots and lots. We now have over 1,200 lessons. E-Langdell books, many. Podcasts listened to and remove barking dogs from background. I'm particularly fond of that. I took a class in recording and engineering and learned a lot about removing dogs. And my favorite is where a professor is reading the transcript of a podcast because we want them to write a transcript first and then they read from that. And in the middle of reading it, you hear the person's spouse yell, "Are you talking to me?" So, just next time you're just thinking about acceptance or offer or negotiable instruments, just think, hey, maybe I should bring my spouse in on this conversation. Co-created Preparing for the Future of Legal Education. That was an amazing first summer of COVID, 4 months after COVID hit the world. We were on top of it and we created this amazing distance learning class to teach faculty how to do distance learning. I was fortunate to be collecting an enormous number of hotel points because I could not get a negative test. And I remember clearly talking to Steve Johnson at Mercer with a fever about 101 and a large collection of mini soap bars. Because I lived in that hotel room for a long time while this program was going on. Luckily, I had actually pre-done a lot of it because I was a mess that month. But anyway, that was a special time. What I will miss, absolutely everything. And that's all of you. I mean, I look around the room and I see people that I know I have talked to and called up out of the blue and said, hey, hypothetically, if someone gave you a book that had this sentence in it, what would you think? Or I look around the room and I see people who I have not yet called and I would have squirreled away from talking to you the past day and a half, something that I knew you would be able to help me on. I got my new tech team, right, sitting middle row there. So it's there are a lot of great opportunities. All right. This is my error page for Elmer. I believe I only broke two web pages, maybe more. And maybe more. Oops, sorry. For Sam, I know I lost or misplaced at least half a dozen lessons. He was always bailing me out as I would lose a file. Sarah is far more organized than me. So you're going to have a blast working one-on-one with her. All right. So we come now to some questions that I put in simply to make the scoring fun and to show some things. What is my favorite style of presentation? And following the first time I did this presentation type, one of the attendees tweeted, "That was interesting." All right, let's see where our answers are. Yes, bingo. Anyone ever attend one of my bingo presentations? Thank you, fellow colleagues. Basically, it worked like bingo. You pull concepts or things CALI has out of a hat. E-Langdell, lessons, podcasts. You all had a CALI bingo card in front of you. And yes, once again, prizes were awarded. And they were based on things that I stole from vendors or at snack time. Yeah. All right. So just doing a couple questions here just to get some more grading stats. And then the last one here. Come on, click. All right. I like to imagine unusual things and show off our artwork. CALI has about 350 drawings that are, I would say, in this style. Our artist at the time, Eric Malinsky, is not a lawyer. He now does a podcast called Imaginary Worlds, which I would invite all of you to go listen to. It's super cool. But at one time, he was doing a number of drawings for us each month. And these all were connected to particular lessons, but we found that they easily transport into other lessons. They come with no restrictions on them, so you can incorporate them into your own class lectures or class materials, and they're all on Flickr. So the question here is, if CALI were a summer treat, what would we be? And I just like, I like the goofy, as all of you know. CALI is lactose intolerant. So we would not be an ice cream sandwich bar. I believe we are watermelon, because they're so darn big, there's always something to share. All right, so let us move on. All right, and this is actually a serious question. I would really like you to all to take a couple minutes here. And you've been to a day and a half now of our conference. Hopefully you've talked to me or some of my colleagues. You've maybe talked to some of our board members who are here. You've stopped by our table and maybe talked to Scott Lee about CALI. And you know what we have, you use CALI. What would you like to see CALI provide for you? We will really see your answers here. And I'm going to share this with Sarah, and she's going to get to work with you on it. So what would you like to see us develop? What would you like to see us have more of? More criminal law materials, more H5P in a book. You want to have Sarah come visit you at your school in the middle of winter and you happen to be in a warm climate. Those are my favorite schools to visit. Well, or Ranella. Ranella and Sarah as a tag team. Wicked amazing. So just take a thought. What would you like to see? The conference lasts longer? Anything. And now I'll be quiet while you think. Because one cannot think and write at the same time. Or you can't hear and think. You can't hear and write. That's the combination I'm after. You can't hear and write. Yeah, right. Just like you can't read and all right. What I'm going to do now, if I could have a table drum roll, please. So this is how you all did. Here are your names. Obviously, this question is not graded. So I'm just basically, it could double as attendance. I'm just saying, should the ABA care about that? Oh, wait, they do. All right, so let's see how we all did. I'm going to go back to my, I'm going to go back to my faculty page, and I'm going to view the grades. So we had 30 people running it. We only saw 21. That's because I had to do a lot of tests to make sure it was working. Sorry, that was me. And I can open this up to grades. And I can see how everybody did and what their main score is, how many questions they answered, how many they answered correct, and the total number. So what you have to be careful of here, if you're using this in your class, is I'm just going to pick on Emily Barney here. She could have answered 10 questions, gotten 100% right, but everyone else is answering 14 questions. So if you see 100%, just take a glance at how many questions were answered total. So this is how everyone did as a whole class, okay? Tom Ryan, whoa, you're going for the prize. All right, so this, and now what I can do is, what's that?
Still, he didn't get 100%. No, I did.
He did.
On session 3.
Oh, he went through it 3 times. I'm so sorry. There's another thing you have to watch out for.
I went back and kept stuff the week, I got 77%. And I had to get 107 questions. I didn't understand like where it got stopped. And they said you have to do content, table contents to get back. You can only go back to table contents.
Right,
And then I started it again, and then of course I heard all the answers.
right, right, right,
This is security.
right. Well, I think you deserve a round of applause for learning. All right, we'll get to prizes later. All right, so let's look at Tom's 50% try, shall we? And you would see this as a faculty member.
Don't fire.
Oh, are you serious? Okay. All right. Yeah, it's good to tell students that you see everything because they write some really, they write some things that when you speak of professional identity formation, that's like outside the building and their response is not very good. It's not polite. They're nasty. All right. So this tells us every question, which ones he got wrong and which ones he got right. So we can say, oh, well, Tom really doesn't understand the fellowship concept. So I'm gonna have him come into the office and have a little sit down with him, and we're gonna go over the fellowship concept until he gets it. Okay. Right. Beware of the T-Rex in the hallway, always. Right. So let's go down to some of the essay questions. We can also see on question type, I can quickly scroll down here. Why are my essays not showing up? Oh, maybe you didn't write an essay.
You answered 4 out of 8 questions.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm going back to somebody else. All right. I'm gonna. Okay. Whose voice is that? Oh, hi, Emily. I couldn't distinguish your voice. Yeah, I'm trying to find you here. Here you are. Okay, great. Oh. Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. That's okay. So text answer, you put international law. Boy, that is the area I would love to have lessons in, or Deb of 26 years would have loved to have had it. I guess Deb at 8 weeks left thinks Sarah would love to have international law lessons. And Sarah would love to have immigration lessons. I have left little notes that are going to pop up after I've retired to my colleagues. Okay, so let me show you how the analytics work here. Hold on a second. Let me find my web page. All right, so this is how everybody did as a whole. All right, and then wait a minute. Lesson link analytics. Okay, so now I can see 21 students ran it. There were 30 runs. Some of them are mine, some of them are multiple Toms. So now I can include specific students by checking this box over on the left. And I can include the date of student runs. That's useful if you have a student, you assign a lesson, and you give them 1 week to do it. They score poorly and they turned it in 2 hours before it was due. That might be a time for intervention. I picked that word up from Melissa Hale and the academic support people. So here I can see what all the scores were for people. And let me just, Sarah, do you mind, Sarah Frug, do you mind if I pick on you? All right, so we're going to look at Sarah's responses because Sarah's going to come into my office because she's not understanding things. Hold on, where did I go?
Checkbox.
Oh, I her name, not her, right. There we go. Okay, now this is Sarah then, right? Okay. This is not Sarah. This is everybody. Okay, hold on. So I'll get to Sarah in a second. So this is how the class did as a whole. So if these were authentic questions about these are authentic questions, but if they were about legal topics, you could see where your students as a group needed some review.
Notice there's a column that Sarah.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Right, so I can see how Sarah did and how the class did. That's what I'm seeing, right? Right. I've said for years, I make content and I set it free into the world. And this magic happens thanks to Elmer and Sam and Dan and other people. I barely know the names of. CALI is so big. Okay, so wait, yeah, so I could follow through and I can, let's see, the summer, CALI is a summer treat. Oops, that's not good. Let me go back here. Hold on. I don't think I checked the right buttons to show everybody's. No, include student. Include specific students. Okay.
Right, but now you can click the boxes, the read about the student, if you wanted them to each be their own column.
Oh, Barb Glusner Fines is here. Hi, Barb. Hi, Deb. Must be online. That's super cool.
Now when each one on these 5 columns, one for each.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, John. Thank you for understanding the big picture as our executive director. Great. But I know, shoot. Sorry, I can't operate a mouse. All right. So if I go to here, this one, start again.
It might not work on a non-published lesson.
Right. What I'm,
Doing no published lesson, right?
this is self-published.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't work. So if this were not self-published, if this was not a self-published lesson, but one of our existing lessons, what you would be seeing is you would be seeing, and I can't show you because it would be showing real data of people who are not here, which I think is creepy. And I don't plan to become unethical until my law license expires in a few months. So it would show you though, on this particular question, so pick one that's got 62% right, it would show me that, for example, this half of the room got it right, and this part of the room got it wrong. So you can sort of understand what particular students got a question right or wrong. All right. So I think I have mangled my way through the analytics well enough. You can also download this into spreadsheets, which after you've watched the rest of the conference on Saturday night, you could go through some spreadsheets on Sunday night. Good times. All right. Are there questions about this, or are you all crystal clear on lesson link, lesson live? John, wait, John, wait for the mic. So Barb can wait for John, wait for the mic. Thank you.
At the very top, it says include response breakdown. Click that radio button.
Oh, that's what does it.
And that will show who
Yeah.
answered which ones. And if this was a CALI lesson and you click on the page question name, it would go to the lesson and show you that page in the lesson. I think it does it in the lesson report format, so that you could see. It's like it's hard to tell what that question is about just from the title of the question, like fellowship 2. I don't know what question we asked there.
Right.
So if you click on that, then you can go see what the actual question was to decide if it's something where you would need to talk to the student or not.
Right. And you can also do a little bit of, when you've written your own lesson, you can do a little bit of testing the question. For example, my favorite presentation style, 10 people thought it was all of the above. And so there's maybe something wrong with the question, although I appreciate your enthusiasm for my varied presentation styles over the year, including the year I threatened to do interpretive dance. Other questions?
Barbara Glessner just says hi, Deb, in the question.
Oh, hi back, Barb. Any other questions? Oh, yeah. All right. Prizes. Let's get to, thank you, John, for reminding me. All right, let's get to prizes. So let me get back here to our scores here. And I'm going to just sort people by score. Why is Tom not showing up? Oh, I'm on one question here, I think.
No. It only records for this purposes, it only records the first time you run the lesson. So,
Right, so, yes,
He's
the one
not
that shows
there.
up here is a composite score. So we basically, if you rate the lesson three
You're
first.
saying throughout my thing.
Huh? Yeah, no, well,
no, it's gonna be throughout the hundred.
it only includes the first response to each question across multiple runs. So if you got the first question wrong, then no matter how many times you do it, it's still wrong. But if you got the first one wrong, you come out in and pick it up and, start again, and that's the second question, right? So it's coming back. That's mostly because some people stop and start lessons as opposed to just continuing on with the same lesson run. It's how it's gonna go.
Okay, so I have 13 prizes, not counting my business cards. So the top 13 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Everyone above Carl, including Carl, I should have a prize for you. So come on down. And thank you all for playing. I'm looking for a YouTube deal in August, so if anyone wants to fund me. What happened?